So now, from closed guard, as I break their posture, all right, I have a Kimura, they have their hands on the mat. I have a triangle, as they have the hands on the stomach or the midpoint of the body, right, on the torso. And then if they go for the armpits, okay, what do I have? Arm bar, right? And what's really nice is these all blend together very, very nicely. So regardless of what your opponent does, you have an option, which is fantastic, right?
Yes.
So even sometimes they'll make the mistake as I go for I break the posture, right? Sometimes they'll even make the mistake of still trying to pass my guard right here, and that makes it really easy to take the back. So there might even be a back take right there, okay? So now we have all these different options, okay? If they're in the closed guard and they're just doing the right thing, well, I have my hip bump sweep. If I go to break their posture and she just pushes her, oh, don't do the armpits, just like launch yourself back up. Okay. So as I go to break the posture and she just launches herself back up, I'm using that momentum to get my hip bump sweep, right? I'm going straight to my Americana usually. Okay? Now, let's say I go to break her posture and she like hugs my head or she lifts her butt up in the air. I have my flower sweep by blocking the arm, getting up to mount, getting the flower sweep. If she leans forward to hug my head or she's like trying to attack me or like maybe Americana me for closed guard, which would be unwise, right? I could just utilize this to grab her head and then go to other places, but I can also get a flower sweep, right? So as she starts to go for this, maybe I can get in here, grab her leg, and you see how she launches forward. She's giving me the opportunity to get underneath her. That's why you don't go for submissions when you're in somebody's closed guard, okay? What else are we doing? Oh, and so we have the flower sweep, we have the hip bump sweep. If she opts to stand up, we don't have to do it, but I'm gonna do the dummy sweep. Actually, yes, go ahead. So she stands up, grab her ankles, push her forward, dummy sweep, right to mount. If she goes to break my guard poorly, right, I'm gonna create that angle, lock in really close, chest to her back. I'm gonna start getting my hips out of the pocket. Now I can opt to take her back this way, hug her hips and pull her into me to take the back, or I would not suggest, but you could always go all the way for a back take from right there. Now, when I break her posture, wherever she puts her hands, I have an answer. Jake, can you think of a place where you could put your hands? That is something that we haven't talked about? No, your hands got to go somewhere, right? Even if she puts her hands right here, this is a great place to put your feet right here. Boom. Finish that arm bar, right? So we have now an option from no matter what she does, okay? Should we go into like hip bump sweep Kimura?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now, how can I start combining these? How can I start chaining these moves from closed guard? Okay? So, as I go in right here, let's say I go for a hip bump sweep. Boom. And I go for the hip bump sweep and she posts, right? My first option might be to grab this wrist to finish that hip bump sweep. But also, her hand's right where I want it. And look at, my arms are also already draped over her armpit. So what I might do is I might just grab that wrist because hands on the mat, Kimura. So I reach back, collect that wrist, lock in my guard, and what do I have? A Kimura. Boom. Let's do it from the side angle. Go up, boom, hip bump sweep. Up, she posted, lock that in. Close that guard, separate her, Kimura. So we talked about this in like strategy, right? Especially when we talk about military strategy. We made her think that's what she needed to do because she didn't want to get swept, but that's exactly what I wanted, is that Kimura. I wanted her to post her hands on the mat. It's perfect. So it's like,
creating patterns.
Yeah, you're creating a pattern, right? Where you could take advantage of what they want to do. Beat them to the next step. One more time on that one. So, she knows I'm going for this hip bump sweep. Oh, she posts, locking in that Kimura. I'm already set up perfectly, right? My arm's already draped over for that Kimura. It's so awesome. Now, let's talk about another hip bump sweep combo that we can do. Okay? So now I'm going for the hip bump sweep. But I go for the hip bump sweep. I almost got it, but she posts really far away, right? So now it might be a little bit much to get my my hand all the way over there. and now I don't have my arm draped over. That's completely fine. What I like to do is I like to drop back. Sometimes I grab the back of the head, and the gi, we'll talk about holding on to the gi. But as I'm right here, I grab the back of the head, I just put my leg over the arm. And now I fall right into a triangle. I love that one, right? Let's do it again at like this angle. So, I go for the hip bump sweep. She posts really far away. Lock in that triangle. I've gotten this move so many times in competition and live rolls. I love it. It's just a great option. I'll be here and she'll be pushing on me. And we'll be battling. Oh. And I got this triangle. I made her do exactly what I wanted, was got one arm completely out of the picture, so that way I can start walking up a triangle. Okay? And remember, you don't have to set a triangle up this way. You don't have to set a Kimura up this way. You can make any setup to a Kimura or a triangle. That's what makes it an art. This beautiful masterpiece. Right? You can use any mechanism that you want to get to the end result, which is that submission, right? Mm-hmm. And these are just some great ways that I do that's giving you options. So as you're brand new at jiu-jitsu, I don't know what to do, right? I don't know what to do. This is too much. Get yourself to a closed guard. Once you've gotten yourself to a closed guard, first thing that you should do when it's no-gi is work on breaking the posture. If I go to break the posture and she leans back, now I have my option for the hip bump sweep, okay? If I get the posture broken, she has her hands on the mat, we already went through all this, but notice it all comes from one thing. All you have to think about is locking your legs and grabbing the back of the head, and depending on what they do, now you have an option. That's all. But you can make it happen however you want. You can make a submission happen however you want. I'm just giving you these different avenues that work very well for me. So regardless of what path she chooses, I usually have something to go for. And obviously, when you're brand new, it might not work all the time. But I'm telling you, it's worked for me, it's worked for other black belts, it's worked for a lot of experts over and over and over again. So it's probably not the move, it's probably you. I'm sorry I'm saying it that way, but just keep practicing. Keep practicing. Do it over and over again. Every time you do it wrong, you find out, like, oh, how can I make it better? Well, that was wrong. Why was it wrong? Because of this? Okay, I'll improve that the next time. Then all of a sudden, it's like, that's why black belts, brown belts, purple belts, they feel so good when they're grappling, is because they have an option regardless of what you do of where they just naturally go as they chain things together. So I go for my hip bump sweep, they post close, I got my Kimura. They post far away, bam, I'm getting my triangle, right? So as I post far away, I got that arm out of the picture, triangle, okay? Another option, we won't go over the submission right now, but I just want you to be aware of it. As I go to hip bump sweep and she just tackles me back to the mat, well, I have my guillotine right here where I close off with my thumb and my hand, I close off her hoses and I compress her and I get a guillotine, right? And then as I do that, and let's say she's defending this really well, right? Well, I can 100% sweep her right here, where I'm like bringing this over and making her life miserable, and then I can get her up and over, right? So there's all these beautiful options that you have, and we're going to build on this. But right now, we can just focus on 3 submissions, 3 sweeps, and for now, 1 back take. I think that's enough to like really solidify a decent foundational closed guard game, right? And they all blend together. And remember, this doesn't have to be beautiful step by step, like I missed a step. It's okay if you miss a step. Keep going.